Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. That's Philippians 4:6-7. It's my favorite verse right now because anxiety is so rampant in the world and in our lives. When I was completing my undergrad at Oklahoma Christian University, I observed that everyone wants to be the most overwhelmed or the most exhausted. There's an addiction to being busy, an addiction to being stressed. In a way, your stress is a mark of your success as a person, and peace is almost unheard of. I completely support a healthy, motivating level of caution. Being cautious, or even allowing yourself to worry a bit, is not the enemy. But anxiety, which takes over your life and steals your joy, is the enemy. Anxiety is a big deal right now. Anxiety disorders are the most common mental illness in the United States, affecting 40 million adults. That's almost 20% of our population, and honestly, it makes sense. There are a lot of reasons to be afraid and anxious. A heavy workload, an unstable relationship, illness, student debt, the list goes on and on. It's easy to feel like our problems outweigh our resources, and it's even easier to forget that our greatest resource is God. I can't count how many times I've felt anxious and I've turned to a crutch instead of leaning on God. I've looked to relationships, I've looked to busy work, and I've even looked to my own strength, assuming that I could alleviate my own stress and fear about the problems I was facing. And, spoiler alert, it never worked. Instead, I ended up expanding on my own problems and oftentimes making them worse. I'm not going to say that praying cured all of my worries or got rid of all of my problems, but I will say that when I talk to God about my anxiety, it brings me a whole lot of perspective. This verse in Philippians reminds me that presenting my request honestly to God, being as vulnerable as possible with Him, allows me to recognize that He is in control. He is in control of my circumstances and even the chemical balance in my brain. He's in control of the universe, but also of every single atom in my body. He is able and willing to guard my heart and my mind when the enemy tries to capture my attention.